Welcome to my desktop. Morning, Dennis. Morning, Steve, Tom, Tim, Maud, good to have you. Piero, bonjour. Christian, good morning. David. George, what's going on, Jorge? Mr. Lynch, good morning. Mr. Holland. Mr. Morgan, good to see you. Melissa, hey, Michael. Hey guys, there's a trader here. He was here last night. His name is Steve Maxim. He's here this morning too. I'm going to put the webcam on for a second. He's looking for someone to connect with as sort of like a trading accountability partner. And I can tell you from personal interactive experience, he's a good guy, and he's working real hard, putting in the time and the hours. And if you get a chance here, if anybody's looking for that, he's here this morning, and you can type to him. And if not, you know, if that's not what you're looking for, I understand. But I just wanted to give him a shout out because I've been telling him that this was a place to do it. So you want to share an email maybe and connect. He's about as driven a guy as I've met lately. And there he is. And you could do a lot worse than have him as a connection point. Morning, Tim. Okay. I can't believe it's Friday again. Personally. But what are you going to do? All right. So as is tradition, we're going to do what we usually do. Oops. Let me just get Lincoln a link. So, as is tradition, we're going to follow a pretty a pretty standard table of contents here today. It is 7 o'clock. We have 2 hours till the open, and so we're going to do. We're going to use our end of day software to get a sense for what the markets are doing long term. Then we're going to file down to the 60-minute time frame, and we're going to use our histo software to get a sense of what to expect today for the larger moves this afternoon and morning. And then we're going to kind of come down to our 1, 3, and 5-minute charts, and also use the histo software and watch those live, track a mechanical rules-based trading system inside of the constraints of the timing software. So we'll know in advance what to look for and when to watch for those things across the spectrum of the end of day software and the 60-minute charts too. So this is going to give you a full appreciation for the diverse and wide array of opportunities for analyzing markets, from the smallest to the largest through time frames. So let's go through 5 markets this morning here. We'll start. I've got a little bounce in my step this week, and I think I can actually cover a few more markets than I normally do. Carrie, good morning. Introduce you to Steve. He's looking for a trading buddy, someone to connect with and share some Flux ideas. His email is posted out there if that's something you're interested in. Carrie's a good guy to connect to. What I'd like to do, I want to find one Forex pair. Can we look at one Forex pair, 2 indices? Let's do, 2 indices, and then 3 stocks. Can you guys pick out one Forex pair for me, 2 indices, and 3 stocks? By indices, I mean it could be CL, the Emini S&P, commodities too, futures. Okay, so Mahesh says pound dollar, GBP, USD. Thomas, I don't have a Russell data feed, unfortunately, otherwise I'd be all over that. ES. What else? Off the bat, what is TY? GC, Tesla, one other stock. Yeah, I don't think I have that feed, Mash. Apple. Okay, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whew. Okay, let me put that over here. We'll come back to the ES, and we'll start from scratch. So let's look at GBPUSD, and we'll get a sense of what it's going to do. There it is. So I'm going to open 2 daily charts, and we will make today's workspace available for free so that you can follow along with the construction lines I draw at home. Great British Pound, US dollar. There's really three end-of-day predictive software packages for the FLUX family, and I'm going to load two of them on here today. One is called the FLUX Daily Cycle Markers, and the other is called FLUX Orion. Both of these track external energy sources. These are celestial indicators that are monitoring changes in the Earth's environment and subsequent changes in trading behavior as a result of that environment. Okay, so the chart on the left is the FLUX Daily Cycle Marker indicator. The chart on the right is the FLUX Orion. And the way this series of indicators works involves a predictive message in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Can everybody see that? Okay. So this tells me when the next events are coming. So one of the great parts of the software, of any of the software that we discussed today, it's that we know when the next signal is coming. There's no repainting, there's no signals disappearing, reappearing. The date that it was supposed to get there is the date that it got there, and that's the date that it stays on. And so having a predictive piece of software has many advantages, including that as well. Okay, so Mahesh, one of the things that that I want to do is, good morning, Erwin. How are you, brother? Super stoked to have you here, man. Everybody say good morning to Erwin. He's pretty amazing. We got a good bunch of men and women here this morning. I'm super stoked to share time with you today. So when we look at the software, there's a couple things that we're going to do for each of these examples. Number one, we're going to do a phase analysis. Number two, we're going to do an exertion analysis. Number three, we're going to do a constellation analysis. Constellation analysis, and I'm sure I spelled that wrong. It has two L's, right? That looks better. Constellation analysis. And then we're going to do a resonant angle analysis. Okay, we're going to do all four of those things here today. Yes, we did the resonant angle analysis yesterday. Would you like a link to those recordings? Let me get you this special link. This special link goes to my channel page, where every recording I make for all of my classes is. Huh? There you go. It's in your chat box. So any class I record goes to there, including Thursdays and Fridays. Shwing! So one of the things I want to look at is I want to look at the phase analysis first. And there are four phases represented by the daily cycle marker indicator. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those steps repeat over and over again. We're currently on the phase 1. Yes, Carrie, they can be downloaded. So I'm going to turn off all of the phases right now, but the one that we're currently in, which is a phase 1. Okay. And so what I would encourage us to do, let's just leave the candles light colors for this morning. can everybody see that there's a little green dot on my screen right now? That's the phase one. Phase one. What can you tell me about what the pound dollar does after a phase one energy cycle arrives in the pound dollar? Good morning, Luis. ¿Qué pasa, Mufasa? ¿Cómo está usted, amigo mío? Yo quiero comer mucha comida contigo. Okay, Mod says it tends to go up. Anybody else? Thank you, Mod. Yo quiero enseñarle mucha información sobre el mercado que estamos buscando. Gary says consolidates. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at it. My first impression when I look at it, it goes up a little bit, not very much, and then drops. Or it just flat out drops. Okay? So let's draw some lines here. We'll extend an orange line out from the dot in each case. Erwin, that's the next time the phase one will be here. There are 4 cycles. It's, I think, 3 or 4 days till the next phase. But the next phase one will be here in 25 days. 25 days and 9 hours to be precise, at August 29th at 5 p.m. Now, if we look at the phase one signal, it is not infamous for its bullish, shall we say, for its bullish tendencies. Now, one of the things that the phase has in common with all the other phases is its tendency to do one thing. And when I show it to you, you're not going to be able to not see it. It comes back to the dot 100% of the time. Okay, check it out. Ready? This phase one comes down to the dot price. This phase one comes down to the dot price and back up to the dot price. This one comes down 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 to the dot price, comes down to the dot price, comes down to the dot price. This one comes down to the dot price. This one came down to the dot price. Melissa, what has this one not done yet?
It hasn't gone down to the dot price yet, Michael.
That's right. You are so smart.
Aw.
I know. So right now there's a potential 144 to 80. There's a 60 pip potential. Okay, so the first thing we're going to notice in our phase analysis, because Melissa is a genius, is that this thing drops and goes to the dot. Okay? Now it may bounce off of that dot. It does frequently. How many times does the phase one bounce off of the dot? Let's go take a look, shall we? And there are places here that we can point to. It happened on this iteration of it. 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 And those are the pure ones. So about half of the time, it'll touch that dot price and go up. So if you're adding positions to the retracement here, this price right at the dot, in the middle of this consolidation tends to be a place where that happens. Everybody good with that so far? The second thing is sometimes it punctures through. So relative to the dot, last time it went this far below the dot. The other time it went that far below the dot. Here it only went just a little bit below the dot. Here it went that far below the dot. It went this far below the dot. It went this far below the dot. That one was just ridiculous, but I want to draw a box there. This one went this far below the dot, and this one just went nutso below the dot. Just going to find the candle bodies themselves in the downtrend. So if I take the ones, Mahesh, that were small, or the ones that are about the same size, and we pick them over and put them over here, you'll notice there are some boxes, Mahesh, that are about the same size. And we look at the pound dollar, we'll see that the potential is for the pound dollar to drop this far to the line. And then if we go to sort of the bulk of where the boxes are, it's 143 pips down. So there are retracement opportunities available 60 to 140 pips down from where we are right now. Does that make sense? Okay. So a sell would be a counter-trend trade, an aggressive counter-trend trade, but so far this is the only signal that has not come back to the dot price yet. There's still a 60 pip disparity now on the pound dollar. Okay. Now, the next phase that's coming is the phase 2. And I want you to see what happens in this market on a phase 2. Phase 2, completely different than a phase 1. Phase 2 doesn't play. A phase 2 does not play on the pound dollar. It just does its stuff. Okay, so of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phase 2s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were huge launches. And 2 of them were exhaustion patterns. Let me show you what I mean by that. Everywhere you see one of these rectangles is a time where the pound dollar launched and just went mucho far. Okay, what do those signals have in common? Well, they're at the bottom of a retracement. They're at the bottom of a retracement. Okay, this guy here doesn't belong with the other 5 because, Melissa, look, structurally speaking, it's all the way at the tippy top and there was no retracement. It's all the way at the tippy top and there was no retracement. And if my eyes don't deceive me, Carrie, that looks like it might have been a Canaveral, a pattern 7, but it might not have qualified. Let me just check real quick. The low, 930, the low, 928. God, it was so close. The high, 88. 88. It was off by 1 tick. So I'm going to put a pattern 7 right there. So that little guy is different from everybody else because we arrived at that date at the high of an extension. All the other signals, when we got to the phase 2, we arrived at the bottom of a retracement. Everybody see that? Okay, so if they're cocking back, Mahesh, for a run up, I want you to see how far they cocked the last times they retraced. And so I'm just measuring with my tool here to get a feel for how far back they pulled before they went up. Okay, so Mahesh, take a look. These are all the lines, how far the market went down to the low. Actually, let's be very precise about that then, right? To the low of the phase 2 before it went up. Okay. It's from the high. Does that make sense, brother? Okay, so now I'm going to take these orange lines and I'm going to pull them up to where the high is right now. Because I want to know, is it going to be a top or a bottom when I get there? I want to know, is it going to be a top or a bottom when I get there? Okay, so, wow, look at that. On the pound dollar, you'll notice there's a display or a splaying of these lines. And so each one of these lines has a top to it, right? And Mahesh, one of the things we see is that it didn't get to the lowest one of these yet. Let's put some rays right here. As of right now, the low of the phase 2, if it's going to be a pullback, is here. So here's another important clue, right? Because we knew from the phase 1 that it had a tendency to wander and sometimes go underneath itself. And so we see that, again, in 5 out of the 7, 6 out of the last 7 phase 2s, it does go up, but it goes down first, and it goes down at least as far as these orange lines. So if that's the case, then we still have 62 ticks to go. So Mahesh, there are 2 reasons now to think that the pound will drop at least 62 more ticks lower than it has, and as much as 100 aggressively. Does that make sense? Okay, so this whole area right here is a retracement area on the pound dollar.
So I'm going to take the rectangles and get rid of those. Rectangle. Okay, and we'll get rid of the orange lines here too. So far, so good. I'm going to put all 4 of the phases on, and we're going to do a, actually we're not. We're going to leave things the way they are. I'll put the phase 1 on. And we're going to put the phase 1 line right here. Mahesh, there's a book in your downloads or handouts section that says a guide to the histograms, histogram guidebook. If you go look at the pattern 7 at the back of the book, it will describe the conditions that were necessary for us placing that arrow. So let's take a look at this market. And this is one of the clearest examples of resonant angle that I want to bring to your attention. It's actually pretty sweet. So let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to do this by hand, but there's a software indicator that does this automatically. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for an angle that describes how this market is moving. Most of the time. And that is pretty close. On the top side. Let me see if it works down here. Sometimes you have to just check it a couple different places. Yep. Okay, so Mahesh, you see that crazy orange line that I've been drawing by hand? This angle is unique to this market. And it's important to this market. Because it describes things. So this is 2017. And Mahesh, I'm going to take that line. And now where it is over here, you saw I drew it over here, right? Watch what happens when I come over here. Do you see that? It's containing the price action, right? So I keep going back and I keep going back. And Mahesh, look at that. That angle is important to this market. And without getting too deep into it, angles are based on time. And so I'm going to That's pretty cool. I'm going to show you how we use that now over here to the right hand side for the up angle and for the down angle, because it's important. Here we go. So this is the fourth and last component of the analysis, and you'll see how that angle is physically describing the channels that the market is in, and I'll show you what I mean by that now. Then again, we'll do this for the other markets too. So right here, and right there, and right here, and right here, right here, right there. Okay, so you see where I'm putting those blue lines. And we'll put one more at the bottom, right there. And those are the places that this market has shown resistance at and vibrated back and forth between. Let's go down a little bit lower there. There we go. What do you think of that, conceptually, anyway? How do we feel about that? Am I close? Looks like I'm close. Okay, so if we apply that angle to this current market condition, you'll notice that the market occupies these sections, right? And now that you see it, it's hard to unsee it. Yeah, but most people draw a pitchfork, Mahesh, and they customize it to the lines that are there. I'm telling you, there is a resonant angle. This is like a birthmark or a fingerprint for this market. I mean, look right here where that channel was. I'm going to copy this line and just drag it up. You see right there? It wasn't clear, it is now. This angle describes how this market moves. I'm telling you not to customize it. So Melissa, based off of that, if I pull this out, we still have a little ways to go before the first line, right? Okay. So Mahesh, one of the things we noticed with the primary angle, while it has a tendency to poke its ugly head above the line right here, hello, 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 it never closes above it. Okay. Same thing over here. We see a healthy respect for that line. Okay. The other part of that is that when it comes back down, there appears to be a two-step program. It comes back down, it skips, and then it drops to the next level. It comes here. This one didn't even skip, and it dropped to the next level. And then it went up. So Melissa, this one has come down, skips, and then goes down to the next level, right? That brings us to our 100 pip down line before the next bounce, before the next phase 2 coming in 3 days. No, Mahesh, unless you call me auto, there's a tool in Ninja 8 called Resonant Angle that draws these automatically, yeah. But I don't want to show people that today. I had the best webinar I had in my career last night, and one person purchased out of the 5 people who were watching that were interested. So when I show too much, Mahesh, people don't care. They're not interested in what we're doing here today. They want an up arrow, down arrow. They want to walk into their office with their plush carpets and their 72-inch televisions and just be able to trade with a green button, red button. And I remembered last night that we're not that, and I'm never going to be that for them. So just for now, I wanted you to see the technique that the software that does draw it automatically uses. So there seems to be a two-step process in the pound that they're following. And so if it retraces, Mahesh, check it out, ready? If it retraces, it comes this far. We'll change the color of the line right there. So it comes down. This is a better way to show it. Let's show the drop. Ready? Mahesh, it comes off the primary line up top, hits the bottom line, goes to the secondary line, drops to here. Second time that happened, it comes down, goes to the secondary line, and then drops to here. Here we are in the third iteration. Comes down, up to the secondary line, and then down to here. So Mahesh, we're missing the third component, the drop right there. Does that make sense, brother? Okay. Dang, I'm good. You are good. No, really, thank you. No, you're the best. I try. No, please sit down. Clap, 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 clap. Michael, Michael, Michael. Okay. And that's all I know about the pound dollar. which is a lot. Meaning there's an up move coming, Mahesh, if it drops down at least to this line right here. It can be considered a retracement if it gets down to this area right here by the phase 2, which is coming in 3 days. So that would be today, Saturday, Sunday. On Monday, Mahesh, if we are down here by Monday, which I believe we will be, then we are ripe for a retracement back up. Okay? That means, Mahesh, these lines right here represent pullback points. This is where the energy comes back into the market. Okay? But I'm expecting a drop. So let me save the workspace so you have access to these lines. Sweet. You feel like you understand your pair a little bit better now? That's all I want. Just want you to understand it a little bit. Okay. You can see it even clearer on this second chart. This second chart has the Flux Orion on it. And Mahesh, with the lines on the chart where the Orion signals are, do you see where this red dot was? And how it was at the top of the primary line? This was a pattern 4 over here. This was a pattern 5 over here. So in relation to the Flux Orion, it did exactly what we were expecting it to do at the high. And now the next green dot is coming in 13 days. The next green dot is coming in 13 days. So if we look at the Flux Orion, Mahesh, look, there were 2 red dots before this one. Here and here, right? There was another one behind it. And we're going to look at the last thing, which is the exertion analysis. How far did it go down before the next green dot? Ready? From the close of that candle to the low of the next green dot, it went that far down. From the close of this candle to the low of the next green dot, it went that far down. From the close of this candle to the low of the next green dot, it went this far down. That's a better way to do it, like there. So Mahesh, that's an exertion analysis. And here's what I do. I'm going to take the 2 of the smaller ones, and I'm going to put it at the close of our current one. Do you notice where it ends up, brother? Green line.
Do you want to end up where I found you? Alone? Unemployed? In Greenland?
That is Greenland right there. So we're anticipating it to be at least the 3075 level on my chart. On the primary green line, secondary green line. The primary is way down here. All right, sweet. Sweet baby Jesus. We'll put that one down. And I believe we have successfully overanalyzed the pound dollar. The The next one we're going to do is, I believe we said the ES. Yep. ES, GC, Tesla, and Apple. Now, let's do it from scratch. Or actually let's not do it from scratch. Let's use the same chart that I've been using. And last time we got together, we were looking for a high of this pink block right here. Right there. We were anticipating the market to come up into the pink block and drop down into the green blob. However, Melissa, there was no dropping into the green blob. It has not dropped. God bless America. The market is still going up with our children's inheritance tax money. Banks are printing free money hard as they can go. Here we go. I'm going to take off the green dot. I'm going to take off these purple lines. I'm going to take off this rectangle. I'm going to take off this rectangle and all this stuff. We're just going to clean house a little bit. I'm going to take off that orange line. I'm going to take that off. We're going to leave it there. Now, I have the resonant angle lines on here already, so I don't want to take them off because it would be a disservice to take them off like that. What I am going to do is just pull back a little bit. And I want to show you something. Because maybe it hasn't happened yet. I usually make a mistake. Can I say this? The mistake I usually make is that I have my original idea, and then I change my mind because something comes up and I get spooked. Let me, I have to let somebody in the front door. Can you guys hang out 1 second? I'll be right back. I'll be right back, I promise. I'm back. But you already knew that. Hey. There are patterns that are repeating. And one of them is this home base pattern, right? Now check this out. If you haven't seen it yet. Ready? Mahesh, there are two versions of this pattern. Right there is one. We're currently in the second one. Here's the deal. There's a phase 4 right here. And there's a phase 4 right here. See it? There's a phase 1 right here. And there's a phase 1 right here. Everybody see where we are in the cycle right now? Okay. I'm going to use some geometry here. Mahesh, red dot, the phase 4 red dot. I'm going to draw it across. And we'll make it a red line, and we'll make it dashed. Fuchsia, how about that? Now up here, watch. Fuchsia, we make it dashed. What can you tell me about the patterns that we're looking at right now? Any similarities, Mahesh? There appears to be something that looks like this. A double top around the red line. We talked about this last night. There are echoes of patterns. They're not identical. They don't match, but they're similar. So we've already seen a tap of the red line, right? And we're coming back up to it, is what it looks like. That's my first impression. Mahesh, what's unusual, or let's look at the fingerprints of the banks, right? The high of the first touch was 401.50. 401.50. The high of the second touch was 402.25. So Mahesh, it was a 3/4 point difference. It was a 3/4 point difference. Just enough to do what? Get the stops out, right. Okay, actually I had some good news just now. So if we follow that 3/4 point pattern right here, Mahesh, let's take a look. Ready? Is this helping, by the way? Those of you that don't own the software, can I get a little survey feedback right now? Is this actually helping what I'm doing? I never know. the high was 480.50. 3/4 of a point above that is 481.25. 481.25. Right there. So it tells me that the ES has a potential to move 75 to 81. So there are 6 more points available on the ES if this pattern repeats the way that it has. Now, what's unusual about this is it's offset just a little bit. Here, the pattern 1, Irwin, brought us up to the red line the first time, and the pattern 2 brought us up to the line the second time. Okay? So, one of the things I want you to note is that we don't go below the phase 1 dot until the double top is touched. And so we don't expect to be down here until we come up to this dark blue line. Once we come up to the dark blue line, we expect to drop back down to the green dot. And if history is any indication, as far down as right here, the first baseline. So on our market, the first baseline is over here. So there appears to be the potential, once we get to that point, for a short-term drop and then a break of the all-time highs. There's a retracement coming. They just haven't, Irwin, they just haven't tripped the stops of the high yet to get people psyched up. So here's my guess. Want to hear my guess? Here's my guess. In your book, there's a handout, histogram guidebook. And in the histogram guidebook, there's a pattern 5 diagram. And Irwin, you see that signal right there on page 27? Green dot at a higher high. I think if the signal is coming on Monday, if there's a large green dot phase 2 coming on Monday, then Irwin, this is what's happening. Today will be the candle 1. So Irwin, this is candle 1 in the diagram, and candle 1 here will break the high, giving us the first red arrow to point down. Does that make sense, everybody? This candle is looking like it's going to be that. And then Monday, when we get the phase 2, that'll be this candle here that's not here yet, Irwin, that takes us down. And it will take us down, Irwin, until the phase 3, which in the past was right here. That's the phase 3. So picture, if you will, this green dot not being there, but the green dot carry being over here.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in this iteration of the pattern. The phase 2 will be here, and then the drop down until the phase 3. So from a trend standpoint, there's at least 6 to 8 more points to go up today on the ES. How's everybody with that analysis? Okay. I'm going to add one more layer to the analysis just to freak you out. Do you see this line right here? We'll make it a red line. The ES has a resonant angle of its own as well. And Erwin, you see that channel that it's in right now? Oh, pattern 5 is coming, homie. Yeah. That stop is just too good to not be tripped out. But here's what I want you to see. Mahesh, do you see how the ES is obeying that line the same way your pound dollar was? Okay. Now, one of the things we know from this analysis technique, the resonant angle technique, is that when we get near the bottom of a crotch where these two lines intersect like that, Mahesh, this becomes a buying area. It has a buying force to it. We've closed 2 times above that line on the way up, and there are 2 lines above us. Ready? There's the one up here, but there's also one halfway. Can everybody see the halfway point right there? Okay. So Tim, that's the first place, and you can see what the market's been doing at that line, right? It's just bouncing off it like a mosquito on a window. Ding, 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 ding. But our analysis tells us that we're watching for it to come back up to the high and then pop it a little bit. So that seems to imply the following: here and then here. Erwin, you're a rock star. No sarcasm. You're hitting it, man. You're the reason we build these tools. You did the work. You came to the classes. You understood what you were seeing. And now you got 100 ticks in your pocket. Boom. Okay. So that's my analysis of the ES. We're in the phase 1. We're bullish on the phase 1. One last thing we can do. Ready? The exertion analysis. From the green dot, ready, Tim? From the green dot to the red line is that orange line right here. We'll make it green just so it pops out. This line right here is the gap between the green line and the red line. I'm going to take that and copy and paste it so there's a twin. And now, Melissa, I'm going to take this green line. I'm going to put it up here. Everybody see what I did? Do you see where it ended up, Erwin? We harvested that move from the previous iteration of the pattern, and now it's up here, but look where it ended up. Right at the top of the line. 2487.75. To the tick. I'm just saying. So that's the ES. Okay. Next one we're going to look at was GC. File, new, chart. GC. We'll do the same thing. I'm generally, when I do these analyses for you guys, for you ladies, I'm generally right about 70–80% of the time. So the more of these we do, the better chance we have of being right. Gold. Goldfinger. FLUX Daily Cycle Markers. All right, Mod, you have a great day, brother. The recording will be out later this afternoon. Mod, oh, by the way, if you want to watch our recordings, they're all stored in one spot now. So I'm going to copy a link. Mod, you can take that right now. We have a channel where all our go-to meetings are recorded and stored. So just check for it later. It'll be there. On gold, we have our phases. That doesn't phase me at all. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Thanks, Mike. I'm having trouble getting my daily markers to work properly. We'll review the recordings to see if I can figure it out. Okay. There's a lot of gold signals here. Now, we're focused in this area, right? First thing I want to point out, it's a little weird, but it's Friday. I'm going to put a horizontal line, Tim, through every one of the red dots in a certain area. Ready? Let's change the color. There's one. There's one. Everybody notice they're kind of all in the same area right here? They're kind of all in the same area. Excuse me 1 second. Stand by 1 second. It's a circus around here lately. So we're seeing that there's a lot of activity in this area. And the other thing we can do, you'll notice there's a lot of green dots here, right? Change this one to green. Thanks, Humphrey. There's a green dot here. There's a green dot here. There's a green dot here. There's another green dot here and here. So my impression looking at this is that they're defending gold between this low right now this area and this area. Check it out. There's our 3 green lines on the bottom. You want to put a 4th one. There's a 4th one here. May the 4th be with you. And then Tim up here. There's our red lines, right, brother? So this first observation I've got. The current pattern, we're in a phase 1. And if we look at the phase 1s, one of 2 things happens recently. Number 1, here are the phase 1s. Right here, right here, right here, right here, and right here. There's an either-or behavior pattern that occurs at the phase 1. It either closes higher and goes up. It either closes higher and goes up, or, Tim, it closes lower and goes down. It either closes higher and goes up, or it closes lower and goes down. It's on or it's off. The current one did not go immediately down. The current one, if you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, which one of those on-off choices is it behaving like right now? On or off? It's on. Okay, so what can we do? We can do an exertion analysis, and we can copy all 3 of those from the open of the first one. And from the open of the first one, we can put these 3 orange lines right here with our exertion analysis. Okay, that's the first thing we can do. The second thing we notice is that it's not unusual for gold, if it's on, Tim, to come back to the dot at least once. Meaning it came back here before it went up, and here it came back before it went up. This one, it went straight up. So here we've seen that it's come back to the dot. Okay, so it's not off, it's definitely on, which puts the potential back towards 1300. The problem is that it has basically today and Monday to get there, today and Sunday to get there, if it's going to get there. All right. Here's the other thing. of the last 4 phase 2s, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, and right here. Tim, gold doesn't fool around at a phase 2, does it? When we got to a phase 2, take a look at how high it goes by the next phase 4. Okay, so either today, if we don't see the push today, when the phase 2 closes in 3 days on Monday, the push is coming. There's a push coming in gold, 75 to 90, at least $15. It'll either be today or Monday. Now, I'm doing that thing where I get quiet. Any questions about this so far? I'm going to leave these orange lines right here. Actually, I'm going to put a rectangle right here. And I'm going to get rid of everything else but the rectangles. Again, we're using the same techniques that we used in the other demonstrations so far. Did everybody see where these lines are coming from that I'm drawing? I was telling my wife yesterday that I've been having a really hard time lately. I think more so than any other year. I had a customer call last night. I don't think he's here. I'm pretty sure he's not. Mr. Tran, are you here? No, of course not. And he said, you know, I saw your presentation, but you have all these bad reviews online. And I said, well, if you're talking about futures IO or Big Mike's trading, so there's a problem, because when the customers go to post a good review, he takes them down because he says it's not a customer, it's me. And it's getting harder and harder when I show everybody the forecasts each week. And I mean, last night the ES was 86% with a $500 payoff per contract. And you have somebody come back and say, well, somebody said something bad about you online, so I'm not going to even take a chance after seeing that. And then I come here the next morning, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, these kinds of analyses, if you tried to get them from another company, you'd be paying thousands of dollars at a conference each weekend to just see one analysis, and I'm doing like 6. And so it gets hard to do this every week and then have 90% of people basically say, well, you must not be good because somebody said something bad about you. So, full disclosure, I've started doing it for me because I get better every time I show it to you. And I'm enjoying being better at seeing these things. And some of you have picked up on it and you're learning, which is awesome. But if I make it about what other people say and think, I'm never going to do it again. I'll just get burned out. So here's what I'm excited about. And if you want to carry on and latch on to this, check it out. If we look at the signals here, and if you do have an opportunity, if you're a member of that forum, please get in there and fight for us. It's a way of helping me, and I would greatly appreciate it. If you look at what's going on in gold right now, we have, there's so much negativity out there. It crushes my soul sometimes, you know. It's such a cynical world. I don't know what to do. And I'm not perfect, but it grinds you down after a while. So there are a couple lines in play here with the resonant angle technique that we discussed earlier. Number 1 is this guy up here. Number 2 is this guy right here. You can clearly see that gold has a resonant angle, right? And right now, gold has a pattern 5 right now. The high was 1280.3. The second high was 1280.3. So if we use a pure pattern 5 definition from your book, that's what that signal is right now. Okay. So in relation to gold futures, we're working with a pattern 5. However, okay. So all along this purple line right here, I want you to see the reactions that took place. Ready? There was a reaction here. There were 2 reactions, 3 reactions there. There was a reaction 3 times there, a reaction here, and then a reaction 3 times there, a reaction 1, 2, 3 times there, and then Tim, a reaction here and here. Yeah, but Tim, they never see those. And I just wondered how many people read that and went on to some POS vendor who just took their money, you know? They never see the good stuff because he either doesn't let it on or people don't write it. And I don't know how to fix that. I'm not good at this marketing stuff. I'm actually really bad at it, to be honest with you. This is a humbling experience for me, this company. So the reactions along the bottom are equally impressive. So we're going to change this diamond now to a green. And yeah, I swing, and you've seen me swing, so you know that's not unusual for me. But when things get quiet, that's what I think about. I want you to look and see what happens when we hit this bottom line here. What the reactions are, right? So in gold, there are 3 potentials right now. And let's examine the pattern together, shall we? When we have a retracement to this line, it comes down to this line here, it hovers, and then it dropped to the next line down. When it came down to this line, it hovers, and then it comes down to this line. When it comes down to this line, this one just went straight down to the next one. So Mahesh, the dominant line appears to be this one right here, right now. That's where a large reaction takes place. And there is a subdominant line right there. Okay? So today on gold, that would put us at the 64.5 region. 64.5 region. That's where your reaction is going to be. When you have a dominant and a subdominant line, we have the ability to form a retracement between the two, and we'll almost always see reactions at the halfway point. And so for us, we can put a 50% retracement line halfway between the two. And yeah, sure enough, check out the reactions along the 50% line. So Tim, I'm going to use a neutral color here, or a square. There's the reaction here, 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 and here. Here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So using the daily cycle marker analyses shows that gold has a pattern 5 selling pressure behind it right now. That's what's driving this move down. We know that there's a phase 2 coming on Monday. So it's like when a tide comes in and a tide goes out. Those of you that live near the shore, you've lived near a lake or the ocean, you have the ocean here, and the waves, when the tide comes in, the water comes up, it comes higher, it comes higher, it comes higher, and then you have the slack tide where it's about to start going out again. So on gold, even though we have a pattern 5 here, the pattern 2 is coming in. So Tim, that means while there's selling pressure, there's buying pressure coming back into gold, because we're going to have one of these, right? one of these is coming up. So that means that there's a tendency as we get towards these retracement levels, you should target them. You should target them hard. So as we get down today towards, again, 65.5, and or if it gets down to 50.3, those are two areas right now. Let's say 51 and 66. Those are two areas where I expect massive reversals. Big reactions, big fast reactions. So right here, or right here. Okay, any questions about gold? What we're sort of expecting? So as of right now, this is sort of the pattern that I'm watching. We'll call it a lightning bolt pattern because it looks a lot like a lightning bolt. I see a primary reaction at the dotted blue line and then a retracement back to the thick green line on the bottom. So we're going to minimize this right here. I'm going to take this carry. There are, but I don't want to go there. I want to just sort of leave that in place right now. I choose not to. File, new chart. We got to look at, I think somebody said Tesla, right? I did an analysis of Tesla with a gentleman named Zaran earlier in the week. I know exactly what Tesla's going to do. Let's take a look here. Daily cycle marker indicator for Tesla. When you have a stock that has the three primary numbers like 0.0, you have to add another 0 to your dot separation. So if a stock is in the hundreds of dollars, make sure you have a marker separation in the hundreds. There we go. Okay. If we look at Tesla, what do we notice? Anybody have any insights? Based on everything we've done. As of right now, Tesla has a pattern 5 higher high green dot because Monday is a phase 2. So today's candle broke the swing high. So as of right now, there is a pattern 5 signal in place right now. Okay, one of the things I want to point out, if we just take out the phase 1s and 3s, look at the interplay between the 2 and 4s. Let's make the candles right here. There's an interesting interplay in Tesla, meaning when there's a phase 2, Tim, look at what people do. Should probably make it green, right? Phase 2 is coming on Monday, and it's coming in as a higher high. It's coming in as a higher high. So, one of the things I'm looking for are what happens when the phase 2 comes in at the high of a previous phase 4, meaning are there any instances where this is happening in the past? I'm just going to look real quick. I don't really see any evidence of that. Okay. So we'll come back over here. Get more information. We need more information. The other phase 2s that were pattern 5 were here. And that didn't quite make it, but this one did. Okay, so we've got that information. Tesla does not go down when there is a phase 2 in play. Let's put the phase 1 back in. And this is interesting. When there's a phase 1, it goes up that far. By the phase 2, it goes up that far. By the phase 2, here it actually went down, but finished higher. So I'm going to put that down box. It went this high by the phase 2, and this one came down into the phase 2. This one went up into the phase 2. And this one just went down. So it's binary, Tim, like gold was. It's either up or down. And so when it goes up, look how far it goes before the phase 2. It goes this high. It goes this high. Here it basically finished. And it goes this high. Here it basically finished where it started. And it goes this high. So it's clearly not going down because of the gap up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the green arrows here and harvest them with an exertion analysis. And what do you notice when I do the exertion analysis, guys? When you do the exertion analysis, it either goes 1 or 2. It goes to here or it goes to here. So we expect it to go to this level, or we expected it to go to this level by the phase 2. Okay, so it did. Now, when it does this, which it clearly is, what is the next behavior? So check it out. Let's look at the phase 2s where it did go up to the next, the phase 1s where it did go up to the next phase 2. That would be here. That would be here. It's not here. And it would be here. It's not here. And it would be here. Okay, everybody see why I put those boxes in dotted lines like that? Because what's happening now is what's been happening in the past there. So here's what we know. The exertion level is the big one right here. So the one with the big exertion level is this one, and this one, not the little guy. Okay, that makes this even easier then. So these are the primaries and these are the echoes. I knew I'd get there. Okay, so with the primary and the echo, Tim, one of the things we see is that it will hover around that price. It will hover and come back to that price before launching up off of that price. So here, while there's no dot here yet, it will hover and launch. It will hover back around. It hovers around this exertion level right here, or below the exertion level. So Tesla right here is going to be between 340 and 350. But it either stops here or it can go another this amount above. So that's right here, and I'll draw an arrow there. Tesla is perplexing, but it will reveal its secrets to me. Okay, so we know it's this one off the bat because it made it that far by the phase 2. Okay, so here's the deal. Based off of the 2 opportunities, the most it went above, the high was 313.73, 313. This high was 313.47. That is the high. Okay, so here's the deal. As of right now, this is the high in Tesla. Stay with me, guys. Ready? With our exertion analysis, we know that we're here. So if it's this pattern, if it's the primary, it will drop that far. Off of the high, which takes us down to 330. If it breaks the high, if it gets above right here, if it's above 350, we're going to go to here. Okay, so Tesla is a buy above 350, above the prior swing high, but for right now it's a short until 330. I knew I'd get there. Dang it. So this line right here, let's be very methodical about it. We're going to harvest it. Yep, and that's where I had it before. So Tesla is a buy at 331. It's a buy at 331 or above 350. Did that make sense, everybody? I don't know which of these 2 they're going to do yet. We haven't done a resonant angle analysis yet. But if it replicates this one, we're down until here. If it replicates the echo, it's up until here. Now, one last thing, and then we'll do Apple before the market opens. Can we find Tesla's resonant angle? I think I can. Do you guys see any angles in there that are repeating? There's a couple. There's that one, right? To the downside, there always are. We just got to find them. There's this one too, right? we'll always find evidence of the angle. Carrie, how's that looking? Pretty close? Thanks for hanging with me this morning. We're going to be doing histogram analyses here in just a minute. We'll have you right as rain before the open. There we go. Lord help me see things. Thank you for what I do see. Okay. This is what we did with our ES analysis, how we got those home base lines and all that wonderful stuff. And Tesla is no different. Can I draw that line there? Yes. Okay. I can draw this line up here, Carrie, for a couple of reasons, and this is what I look for. I'm looking for reactions and closes. So, Ernie, check it out, and this is something I know you do. You see that reaction right here, Carrie? How there's a wick touching the line? There's a close on that line right there. There's a close on the line right here, and then it closes just underneath. Matter of fact, we could probably shift it just a little bit up right there, like that, right? And now, well, we don't need that. The same thing, there are touches here and a close there. So I'm looking for that kind of a reaction to verify if the line belongs there. Closes at and touches of. So right here, we have those kind of reactions, and then we have another one right there. So the current line, I'll make it a little thicker, is a primary line. It's doing the kinds of things that we expect it to do. We also know, looking up at this one, guys, that there's a touch and a close basically right here. Okay, and we did see a rejection away from that line. If we pull this one down, Carrie, you see the touches along here? Arnie, the touches right here. I'm slow to the party, but when I get there, I'm fun. There are a total of 5 reactions along that resonant angle line. So this one is valid. Okay, this one here, I'm going to put it, and I want you ladies to look at what's happening along this line. Ready? Two touches here, a close, a touch, a touch, a touch, a touch, and open. Okay. So this line is valid. And now this one is important to what we're looking at. And I'm just going to refine it right here, because it has touches and closes right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this line is valid, Carrie. We've got this guy down here too. And I'm just hunting for the touches. I've got this cluster down here, and the cluster down here is giving me clues about the cluster up here. I'm just going to make it thick, and we'll go put the evidence markers over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I was feeling froggy, I would move it just a little bit higher. Or I would put 2 lines right here. Ready? That's probably a better thing to do, because then I have the touches down here, and I have the touches here and at the top. Okay. Does everyone see what we've got going on here? So one of the things we notice about Tesla before it's even open is that this little jobby is where in relation to our support and resistance network. Why do we care about where it is right now? It's above that support line, that's right. So this tells me that there's a very bullish behavior pattern right now. But it more importantly tells me where support is along those lines. Okay? There are other things that we can learn too. For example, I can take this green line and I can hunt for other places where there's been support. And Carrie, now check it out. Ready? There was a touch here, a bounce, a close, and a close right there. So in Tesla, we're expecting a reaction at that line as well. So in relation to where we're expecting it to go, Remember our echo theory over here to the right. If it pulls back, and if it goes up, which one of the two seems like a more probable outcome based off of where we drew those two lines? Well, is there any evidence for the bottom of this line right here as support? So Carrie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this green line, I'm going to copy it and drag it down to where that orange line is, and look for touches and closes. And sure enough, I'm going to make this dotted. And now look at where the touches and closes are. Right here, the market seems to revisit this line a bunch of times. We thoroughly captured this as a pivot line. So this line right here, guys, I'm going to make it magenta, because if we pull back to it, that's a great place for the next long based off of our time cycle analysis. However, if we close above this price right here, then we're looking for an attack of this line as the high. This is the line that we're looking for a breakout of. So Tesla needs to, we expect Tesla now to range in here and potentially in there. And if it closes or it punctures this line at 350, we're expecting it to break out and go up to 372, 373. Take care, Carrie. All right, and that's as far as I can take us on Tesla right now. But I think you'll have a lot of opportunities if you follow those two charts.